So I'm Croatian by origin, and I live the last 15 years in Italy, but I work globally on a global scale, work in 3 languages, obviously, in Croatian, Italian, and English. You see, my work is deeply, deeply ingrained in my past experience. 9 years ago, I fall very ill, and I was very ill for a long 4 years. One of those 4 years, I was in bed, unable to walk. I was diagnosed with many diagnoses like fibromyalgia, Lyme disease. I had chronic pain, physical chronic pain, 24 hours a day without any relief, any painkiller, any cure. They just, I traveled all over the world to seek for help. I was slow, my organism, my body was slowly dying, and they didn't know why. So it's not the doctors didn't want to help me, they just didn't know how. So those 4 years were really challenging. I was barely walking, my eyesight was very bad, I had that pain going on nonstop. I couldn't think, I couldn't live. And you know what? I remember one morning I was crawling to the bathroom because I couldn't walk. And I tried to, got over the sink to wash my face, and I just slept, and I fall down and I hit my head on the tiles. And I just started to cry, but to cry out loud. And I was hearing my voice that was, I was yelling desperately, please help me. Somebody help me, please. And I don't know actually how much time I spent on the floor on my bathroom. I just remember that after a long time, I felt like silence. I heard a voice inside of me. It was so powerful and so strong. And when I was yelling, why there's no one to help me, I heard a voice saying, you have yourself, you will help yourself. It was so vivid, it was so real, and I believed it. And it was so strange because I wasn't a person that as a believer, and I was very critical thinker. I believed it. And slowly I got up and I looked in the mirror, and I didn't see the face that was a face of suffering. I looked right into my eyes, but somewhere beyond my eyes. And I knew something has changed, that I will help myself. I didn't know how, I didn't know where to start, but I can tell you that that morning in that bathroom, there was an epiphany. Then I started slowly to uncover all that I knew before. I started to do transcendental meditation. It was very hard because, I couldn't think because of the pain. It was so harsh. But I started, like a minute a day, and the next day again and again and again, till I could just get away from the pain for 10 seconds. And for me, it was life. Then slowly, I started to study the mind. I invested all that I had, money, time, effort, because it was very difficult because of my cognitive situation in that period. And I studied the mind. I enrolled in several academies. And then I made those trials on myself to see what it's working, what it's not working. And I was my own experiment. And in a year and a half, I got free. No pain, not anything. the doctors couldn't believe. There was not evidence of any body suffering anymore. And in the meantime, I got even cancer. So you can imagine more stress, more tests, more suffering. But today I'm free and no relapsing, no, nothing at all. What has happened actually? Every illness on a physical level has its own root, and it all starts with emotions, with those old, crystallized, subconscious beliefs that are formed out of some emotional response in the early childhood. You see, when I was a child, I was a big warrior. I was worried about everything. I didn't grow up in a family that is like, White House, happy family. No, there were many, arguing, going, and I was always worried that I will be left alone, that I will die in the sleep, and no one will find out. Or, for example, that my parents, one of them, will die, and I will be left alone. So those memories were not easy to recover. Those are not memories that I was carrying them along. What I was carrying along were the effects of those experiences. When we sent Ignatius Loyola, a Spanish priest, said, "Give me a child until he is 7, and I will show you a man." This is a perfect quote that shows us that till the age of 7, we are like sponges. We don't know when we arrive to this planet, we don't know if we are black, white, yellow, if we are good, bad, pretty, ugly, whatever. We don't know anything. We are just pure love. What we know about the world and about ourselves is what we have learned from others, what others have told us many, many times. And till the age of 7, what we call subconscious mind, it's all we have. The critical mind is, so a subconscious mind is a theta brainwave state. It's very similar to a hypnotic state. So we assimilate everything as the final truth. We don't have any other way to confront those truths. So it's very easy to create those old crystallite beliefs. So if they are empowering, that's great. They will help us in our adulthood. But if they're not, if they're unproductive, if they're toxic, those beliefs will lead our life. And you have heard, you will call it fate. And it's not. It's not fate. It's just the old, unproductive, limiting beliefs that are leading the way. So when we call, the subconscious mind is often referred to the inner child. And it is because till the age of 7, we are all children. And we have only the subconscious mind that we are talking about available. At the age of 7, from the age of 7 till then the age of 14, the subconscious mind closes. That means that the other beliefs, perceptions, informations that comes along have more difficulties to enter the subconscious mind because we have developed a critical thinking. So there is a barrier. But that also implicates that it's harder to access the subconscious mind to reprogram those errant beliefs. That's why I find hypnosis, hypnotherapy, one of the pillars for reprogramming the subconscious mind. As I said before, till the age of 7, we are operating on the theta brain waves, and
Right.
with hypnosis, we are leading our brain waves to that theta, to the theta state, and there we can reprogram all that is unproductive and most often errantly connected. So most often our toxic beliefs about ourselves or about the vision of the world are errantly connected. So it doesn't mean that our parents, society, people around us are necessarily were mean to us. They wanted to hurt us. It's just the environment, our sensibility. And, I always say one thing that helps my clients, and it helped myself with when I was dealing with my trapped, suppressed emotions like anger towards my family. There is one phrase that is so liberating, and it is that they did everything they could with the knowledge they had at that time. So if they knew better, they would do better. And everyone operates from their inner child. We are adults, walking adults, but let's say we are all children walking in adults' bodies. So if we, yeah.
I love it. That's a great image.
Yeah. Can you imagine how much of the hurt we are just carrying around, and we actually act and react out of it without even acknowledging it. We can acknowledge only by, usually when clients ask me, how can I know what are my limiting beliefs? Well, just look at your life as an observer. Don't go into it. Be the observer and look at your life, at your relationships, at your career, at your health, at your wealth, abundance. Where are you? How are you feeling about? Are you happy? Or maybe better question is, do you feel joy? Because joy is not a temporary emotion. Happiness is a temporary emotion. I can be happy for something that has happened, but are you joyful? This is a deeply ingrained state of being joyful.
I love that. This is amazing. The image that you created in my mind about an adult walking, a child walking in an adult's body is something that is very near and dear to my heart, because it's interesting also that you mentioned St. Ignatius of Loyola. I've studied his philosophy and his belief. He was the founder of the Jesuit order, and his focus was on meditation, because he believed that getting into that theta state was the method for getting closer to God. Excellent. And it's interesting that your experience is such that what we're trying to do to overcome these mindset issues, whatever they happen to be, it's getting into that one state of mind where you're open to a different reality. You can forgive yourself for the things that you've done, that others have done, when you have that openness to say exactly what you just said, which is they did the best that they could with what they had at the time. And a belief that most people will do better if they are given the opportunity. So wonderful stories. Are there any things that you'd like to impart to the audience today? A couple of different tactics or techniques that they might be able to apply.
Of course. First of all, I want to tell everyone to be compassionate to yourself. When we act out, there are two ways we act upon ourselves and upon others, either from the state of fear or either from the state of love. So when you act upon yourself out of the state of fear, you become overly critic on yourself. So just be your own best friend as you embrace yourself like you would do with a crying little child. So be compassionate with whatever is going on in your life. If you think that you are not growing enough, fast enough, that you are not where you want to be right now, just be compassionate, be tender with yourself, because once that you are aware that there is something to change, you will find the way, you will find the right person to work with, and you will get there where you want to be at your own pace. Just don't compare with no one, because there's no comparison at all, because there's no one like you. You are unique. You have to treat yourself as that. And the only comparison you should have is with yourself, but with compassion, without judgment. I encourage everyone to meditate. Why? Because we lower the stress levels and then make space inside our head. We make space for, call it a new oxygen of life. And you, that way, you learn and you exercise to be the observer of yourself, to see yourself, but outside of yourself, without judgment, just to acknowledge how are you feeling, where are you, and what's going on. So just slowly, with much love, everything can be accomplished. Everything.